1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Welcome to NHL Quick Hits. I'm David Crosby. That's Steele Roden. And we start today's episode with a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Finals between the Dallas Stars and Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning have won each of their previous 3 meetings this season, and these teams are headed in opposite directions. Tampa's been arguably the league's most dominant team, while Dallas is second last in the Central Division. The Stars have at least 3 games on hand on the rest of the division, but their COVID-delayed start means less rest in a compact schedule. Now, Tyler Seguin and Ben Bishop are both still likely weeks away from a return. Steele, do you see a late-season playoff push coming from this team?
Honestly, I don't. And I'm still surprised that they were able to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals last season, getting past the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche, who were just better in their division. I don't see this happening for the Dallas Stars this year. I actually have them outside of the playoffs, just finishing in 5th place behind either the Chicago Blackhawks or Columbus Blue Jackets. But like you said, they're only 5 points back of 4th place with 4 games in hand. And Tyler Seguin and Ben Bishop are a big part of that reason. Obviously, they're missing some of their top players right now. And before the season started, their timetable for return was mid-March. So it's a little... their schedule for return was pushed back because obviously you have a nagging hip injury and a knee injury for Ben Bishop. I don't see this happening for the Dallas Stars this year. They're great defensively, but they just don't get a ton of offense, and Tyler Seguin not being in the lineup is a big part of that.
Yeah, it's definitely the offense that's hurting this team right now. I don't think anyone would have expected Jake Ottinger to play as well as he had. I mean, I think Dallas is still top 3 in the league in goals against per game, but they're 19th in scoring. And that's just not going to get it done. Now, while Dallas is nowhere near Tampa, the Hurricanes and Panthers are right there in the division race. Let's start with Carolina, who shut out the Blue Jackets 3-0 on Monday night. Dougie Hamilton extended his point streak to 12 games, and he has to be considered the most intriguing UFA this summer. Do you see the Hurricanes dropping whatever bag necessary to keep Hamilton, or could you see another team stealing him from Carolina?
I think the Hurricanes have to drop the bag on him, but still, you have to keep in mind that Andrei Svechnikov is coming on the last year of his entry-level deal. Peter Mrazek's an unrestricted free agent as well, and he's worth $3.5 million on his contract as well. James Reimer coming on the last year of his contract as well. You have guys like Brady Shea and Jakub Slavin who are making $5.5 million right now and only have 4 or 9 points to show for it. So I think those guys are overpaid. The Carolina Hurricanes have a lot of work to do in order to keep Dougie Hamilton and Andrei Svechnikov. In my opinion, I think their top priority is keeping Svechnikov first. But then you have to get whatever you have to do to keep Dougie Hamilton in the lineup and on your roster for years to come. You have to do it, and that means potentially moving guys like Jakub Slavin and Brady Shea or Nino Niederreiter and Vincent Trocheck in the offseason. Whatever you have to do to keep those guys in Carolina, you have to do it.
Luckily for Carolina, they have been really good at drafting. So hopefully, like you said, they can replace some of those pricier defensemen with some younger guys on entry-level deals. But I agree, they can't afford to let Dougie Hamilton walk out the door. I think he's finally at that level where people around the league and fans respect him for how good he is. He's long been a big name in fantasy hockey, but I don't necessarily think he's been that well regarded in comparison around the league until now. I think now he's proving everybody wrong, and anyone who doesn't think he's in that upper echelon of defensemen has not been watching Carolina this year. Let's go over to the Panthers, though, who missed a chance to tie Tampa atop the Central in a 5-3 loss to the Lightning on Sunday. Florida has a ton of cap space right now, almost $9 million. My buddy Wes and I were tossing around offers for Jack Eichel last night, and I think Florida has the pieces to get it done. They're never getting rid of Bobrovsky. Dreger has looked really good, so why not try to build a deal around stud goaltending prospect Spencer Knight, RFA Anthony Duclair, and maybe 2 or 3 of their well-regarded prospects, Owen Tippett, Gregory Denisenko, Anton Lundell, maybe throw some picks in there instead. Do you think this is the type of move the Panthers should aim for? And would you do something like that if you're Buffalo?
It's hard to say because Jack Eichel is the cornerstone and was their complete future for many, many years to come. I don't think Buffalo wants to move him, but if you get a deal that you just can't say no to, you might have to pull the trigger. Even if it hurts you to do it, it might be best for the future. Now, if you're the Florida Panthers, you go all out for a guy like Jack Eichel, and obviously he won't be playing first line minutes. He'll be playing second line because obviously Alexander Barkov is just an elite goal scorer and player for the Panthers right now, and they're not going to move him down whatsoever. But if you can, you go all out for Jack Eichel because I think this is their time right now. Aaron Ekblad and Keith Yandel are so elite right now on the defensive end. But again, Jonathan Huberdeau and Alexander Barkov are one of the most underrated offensive duo pairs in the NHL right now. They don't get a lot of credit for what they do and what they accomplish in keeping this team going and moving forward over the last couple of seasons. If they can get a deal done with Buffalo for Jack Eichel, I think they're going to be top Stanley Cup contenders if they get that done.
I mean, it's hard for a team when you're in a division with arguably the best team in the league, the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I feel like with Kucherov likely needing time to knock that rust off, if he returns in his scheduled time for the beginning of the playoffs. And don't forget, Tampa might wear down after their cup run last season. There hasn't been a huge break between the end of last year's playoffs and this season. Of course, the condensed schedule, that could all be a factor. And I think this might be Florida's best chance to beat them in the foreseeable future. If I'm Florida, I try and go all in while I have this cap space right now. And after Alexander Barkov, who you mentioned, their center depth is probably their biggest weakness. Now, imagine Jonathan Huberdeau centered by Eichel instead of Alex Wennberg. No disrespect to Alex Wennberg, but he's more of a third line center, I think. And that would just put their top six into a whole other stratosphere. Now, when it rains, of course, it pours in Buffalo. The Sabres tied their franchise record with their 14th straight defeat and lost Carter Hutton to injury. Keep it locked here to NHL Quick Hits for all the biggest stories around the NHL, including the imminent fire sale in Buffalo. On behalf of Steel Roden, I'm David Crosby. Thanks for tuning in to NHL Quick Hits.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.